I don't know everything about anything, but I do know a little about a lot. The same was true of Captain Reddy and his U.S. Asiatic Fleet sailors. We immediately commenced trying to even the odds, but militarizing the generally peaceful Lemurians was no simple task. Still, to paraphrase, the prospect of being eaten does focus one's efforts amazingly, and dire necessity is the mother of industrialization. To this day, I remain amazed by what we accomplished so quickly with so little, especially considering how rapidly and tragically our brain trust was consumed by battle. In the meantime, we discovered other humans, friends and enemies, who joined our cause, required our aid, or posed new threats. Even worse than the Grik, from a moral perspective in my opinion, was the vile Dominion in South and Central America, a perverse mix of Incan Aztecan blood ritual tyranny flavored with a dash of 17th century Catholicism and more advanced technology brought by earlier travelers. The Dominion's aims were similar to the Grik. Conquest, of course, but founded on the principle convert or die. I now believe that, faced with only one of these enemies, we could have prevailed rather quickly, despite the odds. Burdened by both, we could never concentrate our forces, and the war lingered on. To make matters worse, the Grik were aided by the madman Kurokawa, who, after losing his Amagi at the Battle of Balagpan, pursued a warped agenda all his own. And just as we came to the monumental conclusion that not all historical human timelines we encountered exactly mirrored ours, we began to feel the malevolent presence of yet another power centered in the Mediterranean. This League of Tripoli was composed of fascist French, Italian, Spanish, and German factions from a different 1939 than we remembered. They hadn't merely crossed over with a pair of battle-damaged destroyers, but possessed a powerful task force originally intended to wrest Egypt and the Suez Canal from Great Britain. We had few open conflicts with the League at first, though they seemed inexplicably intent on subversion. Eventually, we discovered their ultimate aim was to aid Kurokawa, the Grik, even the Dominion, just enough to ensure our mutual annihilation, thus removing multiple future threats to the hegemony they craved at once. But their schemes never reckoned on the valor of our allies or the resolve of Captain Matthew Reddy. Therefore, when the League Contra-Amiral aboard, humiliated by a confrontation, not only sank what was essentially a hospital ship with his monstrous dreadnought Savoy, but also took some of our people hostage, including Captain Reddy's pregnant wife, and turned them and Savoy over to Kurokawa, we were caught horribly off guard. Tensions with the League escalated dramatically, though not enough to risk open hostilities that neither we nor they were ready for. We later learned such had already occurred in the Caribbean between USS Donaghy and League DD, and that Second Fleet and General Shinya's force had suffered a setback in the Americas at the hands of the Dominion. But we had to deal definitively with Kurokawa at last, and at once. As powerful as he'd become, and with a battleship added to his fleet, we simply couldn't risk our invasion of Grik Africa with him at our backs. Captain Reddy conceived a brilliant plan to rescue our friends and destroy Kurokawa once and for all, and in a rare fit of cosmic justice, the operation actually proceeded better than planned, resulting in the removal of one long-standing threat forever and the capture of Savoy herself. The battle was painfully costly, however, and the forces involved, too exhausted and ill-placed to respond when word came that the Grik were on the move. It became clear that all our hopes for victory depended on a heretofore reluctant ally. How quickly we and Shinya could repair, reorganize, and rearm, and the insanely suicidally daring defiance of some very dear friends aboard the old Santa Catalina. Under the command of Captain Rush Chappell, the ancient armed merchantman steamed up